Hello everyone and welcome. So we are going to begin some education content on navigating through our Elevate Discord channels. Fire. Hello and welcome. So this will be the first training lesson in the Warrior Den, and we're going to look at what is a chart. We're going to go through a series of educational content that's going to help you guide and learn your way how to read a chart, what all of the symbols are and what they mean, and how to actually make one yourself to mold you into a good trader. So this is Tradeview.com. This is probably one of the most widely used websites for reading and creating charts. It's got a lot of wonderful features, and it's really actually quite simple to use. So if you don't have an account with Tradeview, that's perfectly fine. You can get the free version, but note that you will be limited to only doing a certain amount of things on Tradeview. Like for instance, you will only be able to use up to 3 indicators, and we'll get into more about what indicators are a little bit later. Okay, so if we just click right here on where it says chart. So what this does is it'll bring up our chart, and it'll default to any traditional stock. In this case, I already had it defaulted to Bitcoin, as this is what most of our platform is geared towards. So let's just go through some of the features on what Tradeview is. So let's take a look up here at this top left corner. You can see right here where it says BTC USD. So this section right here is where you can type in the type of stock or the type of coin that you want to look at. So for in this case, this is Bitcoin against the US dollar. Now let's say I want to look up Facebook. So I can type in Facebook, and it'll bring up the chart of Facebook. Or we can do Google, which is Alphabet, and it'll bring up the chart of Google. So this is what this little feature is up here. You can basically type in and search for any stock that is out there. Okay, in this next little section right here, this if you click right here where I have this 12H right here, and you can see this little drop down menu that says 12 hours. This is the time frame that I am looking at. Okay, so that means that each one of these candles here, these purple and black are candles. Now, by default, the black will be green and these purple will be red. So green is go, or it's moving up, and red is bearish or moving down. But in my case, I have my default settings set for black and purple. But yes, each one of these candles here is represented in 12-hour increments, 12-hour time frames. And you see a drop-down menu that has a multitude of time frames that you can shift between. So let's go to the 2-hour here. Okay, so now I went to the 2-hour chart. So that means that each one of these candles is now represented in 2 hours worth of trading. So when you see these candles moving up and down like this, let's just take this big purple one right here. This is a pretty good drop in price. So from the top of this candle down here to the bottom of this candle, this is representative of what the price did in 2 hours. So this one candle is 2 hours worth of trading time. And it looks, so for instance, if we go up to the top of this candle here, it looks like this is about, and you can follow the dashed line over to the right, where it shows the price right here on this right side. So in 2-hour time frame, it looked like it dropped from about $10,880 down to about 10,293. And again, if we just follow this dash line over, you can see the price on the right, and you can match that up with the bottom of this candle. So that's what these time frames are, and they're very helpful to, and this is a 15-minute time frame, and they're very helpful to pinpoint exit and entry points or buying and selling points, and as well as identifying trends. So for trend changes, trend shifts, if you want to look at the overall picture, you may want to come out here to these higher time frames, like the 1 day, for example. So again, here, each one of these candles is represented in 1 day. Now you can see down here at the bottom, we have the month and the day. So we have a little bit of a calendar here, so you can see how long it takes for this chart to happen over the course of its time. So let's just say from right here at May 1st, and we were at about $5,300. And then over the course of the summer here, heading into fall, coming into the middle of September, we are at $10,000.34. So you can see over the last 4 to 5 months, this is what has happened. Okay, so that's what this is. This is just the different time frames that you can shift between to understand the history and the nature of the chart. Okay. Here, nobody really uses this compare symbol, but this is if you want to compare it. Compare the Bitcoin chart. Let's say gold. Let's compare it to gold. So now we have a comparison of what. So if we can start back all the way down here at March. If we look at the last 7 months or so of Bitcoin. And it's basically just comparing what Bitcoin has done over the last 5 or 6, 7 months compared to what gold has done. And you can see the drastic changes in the chart structure. And this follows through on all time frames. So you can see the relationship. Oh, looks like gold had flatlined right here. So you can see the relationship of price differences and how the price reacts when comparing them to another commodity, another stock over time. Nobody really uses the compare all that often. However, it is a helpful tool. So if we want to get rid of this so we can just focus on Bitcoin, you can see that this right here, this little symbol says gold, and it popped up, and then just to get rid of it, we just click the X button. And now we're left with Bitcoin. So I'm going to go back out here to the 12-hour chart here. This is a nice time frame I like to use. Okay, so our next tab up here is the indicators. Now, indicators are a very helpful tool to help you on your guidance for trading, so you can kind of get signals, so to speak, of trend shifts. So you know whether, okay, this coin is about to go up or this stock is about to go up because this indicator tells me it's about to. So there is a wide list of indicators. You probably won't even use a fraction of these. So you can just scroll through the list, and there is a lot of them, and we'll cover some of these indicators throughout our training lessons. So just for example, let's put on RSI, the Relative Strength Index. Okay, so see, you can say I clicked on Relative Strength Index right here, and it popped up down here at the bottom. Okay, and we can add a MACD, for example. Okay, so the indicators will take a portion of the screen away from the overall chart, which is perfectly fine. Now, let's see, some indicators overlap over the price. See here, for example, Bollinger Bands. So this indicator specifically overlapped over the price candles and did not make its own little section down here. So a lot of the different indicators do different things and tell you different things. But again, we'll get into that into later sections. So let me just go ahead and close these back out. So we just hit the delete button here. So I want to turn that indicator off. Wonderful. Okay. Nobody really uses the templates right here on the next tab up here. We can ignore those. You can set alerts on Tradeview, and this alert will send a text message or an email to you on whatever alert that you set that says, hey, whatever alert you set, something's happening. So if we want to set an alert crossing up, let's just say about $11,000. Now my options here, you can see here, this alert will only trigger once and will not be repeated. So that means if you set this alert when the one time that it crosses $11,000, it will alert you, or you can set it to have it trigger you and alert you every time that the price crosses $11,000. And then you have some other options down here. Notify on app, show a pop-up, your email. You can go down here to more actions, and you get a text message sent directly to your phone. And then you can create yourself your own message, what you want it to pop up and show. So that's another feature. So let's just go ahead and create this. So now you see this orange dashed line right here. So this is your alert that you have set. So now if price were to come up here past $11,000, you would get an email or a text message of that alert. Okay, so if we want to just delete that, we right click on it and we can delete, and then voila. So that's what the alert button is right there. Okay, so let's come down over here on the left side. There's a lot of buttons here. So this top one is just your cursor, how you want your cursor to appear. We have a cross, a dot, an arrow, and an eraser. I think most everybody sticks with the default and just uses the cross. As you can see right in the center of the screen here, my cursor is a cross. Now let's go down to the next section here. These are called trend line tools. Trend lines are extremely helpful, and we'll get into that in another section as well, but just for an example, a trend line is you're basically just drawing a line from one point to another point wherever you click. So you click to start, click to end, and then it's finished. And then you can hit escape to get these little circles off, and then you're just left with your line. Okay, so let's try another tool. Let's do a horizontal line. Now a horizontal line is a fixed line. So if wherever you set it, it's fixed, and it goes all the way across the screen and basically locks in. So if I want to set it right here, let's just do it right here at the top of these candles here. Okay, see how it just went all the way straight across the whole page, and it's indicating that my price over here, so wherever I set this line, it also set the price here at, or it's indicating that the price of $10,891. Now you can go in and you can change the color. Let me back that up here. Okay, so you're going to see a little pop-up here if you were to click on that line, and it gives you some options to modify that line. So I can change the color. Let's do a blue. I can change the thickness of the line. I can change it from a solid line to a dash line and to a bigger dash line. Whatever you want to do to it. And here's some other settings. You don't really need to do too much with these. So let me just change that back to a solid line and let me thin that up a little bit, and I'll just leave it blue for now. Okay, let's pick another one. So we did the horizontal line. Now a horizontal ray is almost like a horizontal line. So if I were to just say it draws a line from the price point on the right side of the screen up to the point where you click on your cursor. So if I wanted to take this line all the way out to here, this is where that line stops, right where I clicked. Unlike the horizontal line, I can click anywhere in the screen, and if I clicked it here, it'll draw this line all the way straight across, where this ray option stops where I pointed my cursor. And again, just as with the horizontal line, you have options to change the settings and change the colors. Okay, let's grab another one. Vertical line is quite literally just the opposite of the horizontal line, only except the line will be vertical. Okay, so now opposite of what the horizontal line does, that shows you the price over here that you set your line at. This one shows you the date and the time down here. So you can see that I set this line at this particular candle right here at August 19th of 2019. And again, you have your options to change your colors, your thickness, and your line settings. So these are helpful to pinpoint moments in time, moments in price, and even to identify patterns. So they're very helpful tools in this category here. And you have some other ones here that you can play with. I don't really use these bottom 6 all that often. I do use an arrow. So for example, if I'm going to draw an arrow like this, it's basically the same as regular trend line. It just has an arrow on the end of it. So I just kind of give it a direction pointer, so to speak, for some of my new members, so they can see that, okay, my trend line is pointing down, so I'm suggesting that the trend is down. Okay, cross line. It's basically the horizontal and the vertical combined. So you can combine your date and time and your price at that given date and time. Okay, so let's move down to our next little option. You have a lot of other different kind of things that you could put on your chart. Pitchfork, for example. And we'll get into what the pitchfork is, but you can play with some options here and move these points around so you can kind of build yourself a channel. See? So you can move this around and swivel it, and you can expand and detract your points. And basically, I've just made myself a channel. So this is good to identify, okay, well, if I'm respecting this upper trend line here, you can see that we are not really breaking above here. So our channel play should kind of wind its way down, so to speak. Just a quick cheat, so to speak, for creating channels. So there's a lot of other different Fibonacci retracement. That's another one that we use. And we'll get into more of what Fibonacci is in some later training episodes. But these are just different shapes and everything that you can create on your chart to give you an idea of trends and patterns. Okay, so the next option down is the brush, which is pretty much just like, you know, if you were in Paint, Windows Paint, you just left click and you can just draw on your chart. I'm going to Control Z to delete that. Rectangle. Okay, so I basically just made a rectangle, and I want to highlight a certain section of the chart, and I can also modify that and change the color, change my outside wall line thickness. Okay, so I'm basically just wanting to highlight that, and I can make multiple different colors, multiple different line thicknesses on the line. So you can see my border is a lot thinner, and I made this box section orange, and of course the green, and with a darker outline border. Okay, and some other shapes, curve, arcs, triangles, all the typical shapes that you can make in Paint or Photoshop or something. Okay, next tab down is your text. Simple text option. You can change your font size, your color of the text. The color of the text. And that blue, I believe, is just the outline, but you can't really see the outline of the color. Okay, anchor text I don't really use, nor do I use the note or anchor notes. Call outs sometimes. So what a call out can do is, let's just say I want to make a note at that specific top of that candle. Let me move this over here. So you can see that I'm pinpointing the top of this candle here, and I have a text box, and I can come in and I can put whatever note that I want in here to signify, okay, I'm making a specific note directly at this candle top or whatever it is that I'm trying to point at. And again, you can change your font colors, font size, text size, and all of that. So you can see that this purple was the outline color that I chose of my text box. Okay, so that's what the call out is. There's also balloon, which is something similar. You can see that there. And so forth. Okay, next down, these are pattern creators. You can make patterns with these, or these are pretty well preset, predefined patterns. Like a head and shoulders, for example, is a big one. Just an example of how to use it. So you would click, and it would tell you what your left shoulder is, and then it'll tell you what your head is, and your right shoulder. Now this is not accurate, by the way. I'm just doing this for educational experiences. So now you've made a head and shoulders pattern. This isn't a head and shoulders pattern, by the way. Again, this is just for education. So I'm just playing with the tools, showing you how they work and what you can do with them. So you can make patterns with these. Elliott wave, if you have heard of trading before, surely you've heard of Elliott wave. It's real big in the trading community, and you can make wave patterns. So I am making a pattern, or a count, if you will. And all I'm doing is just clicking. Okay, so you can see in here in parentheses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That tells you how many patterns are in this option if you were to select it, and A, B, C, D, E as well. So you can see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the A, B, C, D, E in here. So if I just did a corrective pattern with A, B, C, again, this one is A, B, C. It's only going to give me 3 options. Oh, so see, I can't click anymore as I've completed the pattern that I chose. Okay, and the Elliott wave double combo XYZ patterns. These are for more advanced TA, advanced technical analysis, and we'll get those pretty well way down the line. Okay, so our next option down here, we have some long positions, short positions, and their date and range. So basically what these can do, so let's just say I'm going to choose the date range. Okay, so if I want to see how long it took to get from, let's just say this point to this point, and I would come in here and I would choose the date range, and I'd click there and click there. So it's basically giving you a ruler of how long it took to get from this point to this point, or the time frame that it took to, in this section here. So this was 90 bars, meaning 90 candles. So in overall, it comes out to 45 days. So it took 45 days for this to occur. The price range, it's very similar. So if I want to see, okay, if I had bought Bitcoin down here at $9,300 and I want to know how much profit or how much difference it was up here to this top right here. So I can click, and you can click anywhere in here just as long as your dash line is lined up with the price that you want. So if I wanted to go from here to here, okay, so this is a 16% gain from here to here. Okay, now let's say if I want to go from this wick right down here, if I want to go from here to the top, that is representing a 123% gain. Okay, so that's what the price range is, and the date and price range, that basically just combines them both. And it's just it's making a rectangular pattern or square pattern, whatever you want to make out of it, and it's giving you this whole range. So from the bottom, this little bottom right here at this candle, and I want to capture this whole range right here. Let me bring this back in all the way over here. Okay, so this is basically from June 9th. If you look down at the bottom of our screen on our date, from June 9th all the way up to today at September 11th. This was 94 days that this pattern took to occur, and it moved in a range of 82%. And you can back that up using your price range from this bottom here to this top here, just as I showed there. Okay, so it's going to give you from the bottom of this box to the top of this box the price difference, which was 82%, and from this left side of the box to this right side of the box, your date, how long it took for this pattern to form. So 94 days, and it reached a high of 82% in that pattern. Okay, and there's some other options here you can play with. Icon, you can put graphics on your chart. You know, people like to do magnets. You can put a little camera, question mark. Just you can insert little icons, little tools, little pictures. And again, don't really use the rest of these down here. There is the zoom out and zoom in. You can use this tool, and just like on any other platform, you can create a box that you want to zoom in on, and it'll zoom in on that chart. You can also hit the zoom out, and it'll take you back to your previous view. Or you can use your mouse to do it. So if you come over here into your price box way over here on the right and hold down your left mouse button, you can skew the chart. So if I wanted to get a little bit more history into the chart here, see if I skew up here, I'm only limited to just here from this point up to this point, but I want to capture more of that chart. So let me skew it back out so the candles are proportional. So now I can see all the way back here. Okay, so you can skew the chart by holding down your left mouse button and pull towards you to skew the charts down or the candles down, and then push it away to skew them up. Okay, so I like this little view here. Now to zoom in and out rather than having to come over here, you can use the wheel in the center of your mouse. So you can just roll it towards the screen or away from you to zoom in. And of course then you'll have to adjust your candle and skew it again, so you can make it however you would like to. And to zoom out, you just roll the wheel towards you. Okay, so now my candles are bunched up a little bit. I don't like that. So I'm going to skew it and then move. And to pan, to just move your mouse, move your screen around like that, just hold out in the white area of your screen and hold with the left mouse button and click. Okay, so that wraps up these. A lot of different tools. Just spend some time and play with those a little bit. Now, if we come down here to the bottom, there's a few options down here. So this first one here is a stock screener. Okay, so I hit the stock screener button, and you can see this little gray bar here. Now you can see where my arrows are now pointing up and down from my cursor. So if I hold on the left click button and drag this up, and I can drag this up to take up as much view as I want here. Okay, so if I drag this up, I can now see other stocks. So here is Google. Okay, so I can see what other stocks are doing throughout the day, their volume, their market cap, their the employees, technology, what have you. Now, if I wanted to quickly change between those charts, then I can simply click that chart or click that name. So I clicked on Google down here at the bottom, and it brought up Google's chart. Now let's do Apple. So it's a quick reference. And here's Facebook, Microsoft. So it's just a quick jump between the two. Now if I want to get rid of this and go back to just seeing my chart, well, then we just go back up here to this gray bar to where our arrows bounce up and down, and then we can just drag it back down and get rid of it. And we just left click to accept, and then voila, our cursor is free and we don't have that anymore. So now I'm gonna bring that back up real quick like, and then of course you have all these other tabs to see what that particular stock is doing. So it's performances, extended hours, what happens after hours, margins, and whatnot. Okay, so let me go back up here to my tab up at the top, and I want to bring back up Bitcoin. Okay, so there's some other options down here. Nobody really uses tech notes. We can ignore that. Pine Editor, if you are a coder, this is where you would type in your script to create an indicator, or to type in some, add in a bot of some sort or something. But if you're just a regular trader, if you're a newbie, we can ignore this. I'm just showing you what it is. Strategy Tester we can ignore, and Trade Panel we can also ignore. So let me bring this back down to the bottom. Let me skew back my chart and fix it. Okay, so over here on the right, we have this Alerts tab. So what this does is this brings up a list of alerts that you have set. So if you remember when I showed you right here on this alert, we wanted to create an alert. Crossing, let's just say 11,000, and okay, I'll just create a default alert. So from what I showed you earlier when we played with this button up here and we create an alert, now we can see the Manage Alerts section. So right here we can see what alerts that we have set and on what coin or what stock. And you can also create an alert from this tab as well. And you can also delete. So if I hover my mouse over this is WTC BTC, so this is a Walton Chain coin, and you can see that I have it set on the 4-hour time frame. So if I wanted to delete that alert, I just come over here to the X and I can delete. Okay, and here is a log. So down here at the log, it tells you when your alert was triggered on a particular coin or stock that you had an alert set. So for the symbol here was REN, and it gives you the date and time that that alert was triggered. And I did receive a text message and an email that my alert for this particular stock or coin was in fact triggered. Okay, so that's what alerts are. Nobody really plays too much with the data window, but it just gives you some data of whatever coin or stock that you have open. So we see the daily open at $10,060, and it reached a high of $10,117, and it shows you the low and the change in price and the close in volume, or excuse me, the close in price. Hot lists, it's another one that nobody really plays with, so we'll skip that part. It's not something that we're really familiar with. Nobody really plays with the calendar or your ideas. So this just brings up a list of or charts rather, that you have published on the Tradeview website for the public to see. So you can use this tool as a quick reference to bounce back between the charts that you have created. There are some chat options. This first one here is public chat, and these are just other members that are on Tradeview, and here's your chat box to chat with them. I personally don't use it because it gets in the way and it's a little bit of a clutter. Private chats, if somebody, you can see a list of people right down here that you may have private messages with. Okay, notifications, if somebody liked your chart or liked your script or something, it'll show up there. That's pretty much it for Tradeview. That's the basics. Just kind of navigating around, getting a feel for what Tradeview is. Oh, there's one other thing. The chart properties up here at the top of the page. I'm sorry, I've missed this section here. So this is for the overall chart appearance itself. So I have my background set on white, and you can change your background to black here. Now you see these grid lines that popped up here. That's what these are, my vertical grid lines. If I wanted to turn those off. Okay, now let's just accept these changes. Now you'll notice that only my purple candles have showed up and my black ones hadn't. That's simply because my background is black, so it blends in. So if I change my background to white, now I have vertical grid lines. And I don't think anybody personally uses the grid lines. They can really mess with your eyes. Okay, so you can change the overall chart appearance up here in this chart settings at the top right. You can change the symbol. So here, this is where I can change the colors of my candles. So you can see I have my purple candles, and if I wanted to change those back red, that's the borders and the wick and the candles. So now my purple candles, which are my bearish candles, turned red. Okay, and now I change my black candles or my green back to green, which means that these green candles means that the trend is bullish or going up. I personally like black. Well, I can change those later. That's all right. And you can change those to any color that you want, whatever you are comfortable with, as long as you know what settings that you have set for them. Okay, and right here is a camera tool that you can take a snapshot. So if I had a bunch of indicators and lines and everything's drawn up here and I'm trying to share my idea, I can click this camera button and it'll pop up a nice little drop box. Now I can copy this, so it'll copy the URL link and then I can share with somebody, or I can hit save image, in which case it'll just take an image. So in order to share that with somebody, I'd have to right click and then copy image and then send it to somebody. Some platforms allow you to post the URL, and the URL will actually pop up the chart rather than having someone to click on the link. In some cases that doesn't work, say for Twitter. Twitter, you can't copy the URL, post it on your Twitter, and your chart will appear as a tweet. So when that happens, that's why we have this save image button. So if I wanted to post this onto Twitter, I'd hit that save image, copy image, and then share it to my Twitter. Okay, that's Tradeview, guys. That's the basics, the simpleness, and that's just kind of low-key how you navigate through Tradeview to understand what the different tools are. So spend a little time and kind of play with all these little options and see what they do for you, see which ones you like and don't like, and we'll get into some more of those in further detail later. Thank you.